So hey, Bay. You're back in the States, but you've been in Shenzhen for the past, what, like 6 months?
Year and a half almost.
Holy shit. Wow.
Last time we hung out it seems like it was just a couple months ago.
It was a long time. So what have you been doing there?
So we set up Brink in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou, and very much like have been trying to figure out the best way to support entrepreneurs in IoT, and have been realizing that Asia plays a massive part in that. So it's sort of there's lots of components, and it's evolving, as I know you guys are running into also. But it's been really fun to leave San Francisco after 8 years and kind of jump to the other side of the world and tackle that side. So lots of lessons.
Cool.
I'm sure you guys run into this every day.
Yeah. So tell me about Brink.
So we are a platform, very much looking to support IoT businesses at any stage. We're opening up for third batch right now, and we've got the kind of standard accelerator front end. You work on the models, the viability, the desirability, feasibility of the technology. Make sure you're actually making the right stuff, and then move them into the launch that everyone uses right now in crowdfunding as early validation. But then we decided to stick on. That was the big part for us, is realizing that a lot of things that hurt the companies are what happens next. And very much like you guys at PCH, you look and say, well, there's this competency, and our backgrounds in China are the same thing. They're in the manufacturing, the service delivery, trade, distribution. So why wouldn't you support? It seems like it just gives them the best chance of success. And I never would ever say that we're the smartest guys in any room. I think IoT is so early, and that the best thing we can do is support founders to get them to shelves around the world and let the consumers tell us what they want and don't want, and do our best to kind of grapple with the ongoing issues that are going to come with security and interoperability and all the other things.
Yeah. So who are some of the companies that have gone through your program?
So the two that are public right now are Soundbrenner. So they launched on Indiegogo about 4 or 5 months ago. So the first wearable device for musicians. And then we have.
What does it do?
Well, it starts out as it looks like this just kind of crazy hardcore thing you put on your arm. It could be modular, worn everywhere, but it's really a way to feel rhythm. So how to teach rhythm, and the early sort of use case would be musicians, students, teachers, dance musicians, whatever it is, that you need to feel the rhythm. It's a natural way of learning rhythm.
And so is it just like a vibration motor?
You got it. Yeah. So we did some custom motors in there and a lot of interesting algorithms. But we realized that these types of devices, like the wearables on your wrist, are not going to be powerful enough to do that. It goes a lot further. So it's a niche product in the sense that musicians are massive. So if you're a pro, you care about all the MIDI integrations. So we have multi-sync capability to 10 devices simultaneously. The lead drummer, whoever else, can tap into beat with a haptic engine and just instantly multi-sync the entire band.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, so that's awesome.
There's a lot of stuff going on behind it. There's a whole learning engine that actually gives you performance feedback over time. So if you're a student, you care a lot about that. So I'm sure you see this with your companies too. You've got to nail the first use case. You've got to get the version 1 product to be at a major level of desirability. It's got to work well, everything else. But you have to build in that future extensibility from day one, because you just really don't have the time or the capital to really find that out later. So that was the vision there, just to be a fantastic wearable device for musicians, but then make it really easy to extend the use case.
So can you kind of like walk through where they were when you got there and where they're at when they left?
I think that's one of the things that the aha moment for us, and I'm sure you see that with the PCH integration. It's just, we wanted to get to the point of actually making the device, because that seemed to be this really difficult part for the entire environment. And I coming from San Francisco did not understand that. I had to go to China to recognize what were the real challenges. They're significant, there's no question. I mean, doing business in China is a whole nother can of worms. But I think it was more that the software environment, people from the software world, really only have the eye of IoT. And they come into now the thing side. And that's just been this crazy challenge.
And that was like a big part of the thesis around Highway 1 was that software people who know the internet would want to build hardware and would need to be de-risked.
Yeah, exactly. De-risk is a perfect way of putting it, but we call it, or I call it, life-threatening risk. It's like every one of those steps is not just and then you find out and fix it. It's, you find out and your company goes under. It's that type of risk.
Oh, you find out and the chip was the wrong one, you ordered 10,000, now you need to order 10,000 more, but you don't have that money.
Or the user unboxes the box and you realize, oh my God, I can't update firmware, or I can't do the following things, or the battery that I had blew up, or whatever it is. I mean, there's literally infinite challenges.
Or you chose the wrong manufacturing partner and you are not able to ship, like say CST from Kickstarter,
there you go.
Had the Kickstarter campaign fail.
Well, and so this is where, our first use case, we haven't been so public about it yet. We've been quietly toiling away. That's sort of been our thesis is let's just do the work for a while and then let the stories tell themselves. So, the story right now for Soundbrunner was they joined us out of Berlin in November, and they had some sketches of what they thought the future might look like, and they had a little Arduino board, and they had some motors they had a very hard time acquiring in Berlin. They were saying 6-8 weeks to get a motor, and that the opportunity was maybe 3 motors available in Germany that they could find. And so,
but they were very precise motors.
These are stronger motors, right? Correct. These aren't like linear type ones. These are like the rotating ones. Anyways, point is that they came and they said, okay, what do we do? We're going to make this leap of faith. And it was our first investment, which we appreciated that, obviously. You got to have the first one. And they came out, and within maybe 36 hours of being in Shenzhen with us, they were getting custom motors made. And they were looking at 36 motors instead of 3. That's China, as you all know. And then within 10 weeks, they had fully functional DFM prototypes in their hands. And that was our first test of what's the right way to do this. Now, we've changed that model a bit since, is we went right into Shenzhen the first time. Great lesson, fantastic lesson. Now we've had to do some fixing on the industrial design stuff. There's some other stuff we needed to fix. But what was great is that we knew from day one, we were working on DFM boards. We were working on with sensors and materials that this was going to go into manufacturing without issue. So now they've launched, successful, about 160, 170K on crowdfunding, which for a wearable device for musicians is awesome.
That's pretty good.
And really, more importantly for us, it was a way to validate and use crowdfunding in the way that we think you should, which is not to say that early validation on crowdfunding is a real indicator of long-term success, but to say let's play with price points, let's play with positioning, let's play with target audiences, and really figure out who should we go after. And so that was a lesson for us also, was how can you use these launching platforms out there, and what can you really tell from them? So they've done that now. They started manufacturing. They've started signing their distribution orders, which is fantastic. And we'll be shipping before holidays, so we'll be about 12 to 13 months full cycle. So
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
We think it's competitive, and but again, not everyone needs that time cycle. It's not for everyone. There's not everyone wants to just go to market. So,
well, I mean, the product that we're talking about here is relatively simple. Like, it is not a complex product.
Yeah, it's not advanced technology. It was complicated from the sense of getting it into the form factor required and getting the motors and everything to work the right way. But yeah, you're not dealing with advanced technology, of course not. Yeah. We don't invest in biology. Different thesis.
So, having lived in San Francisco and now in Shenzhen, what do you think is the biggest difference between the two places?
This is the biggest thing I talk about. It's could not be more different, I'd say. And I think the real benefit is, or at least what I see the future is, living a life and having businesses that interoperate seamlessly from the east to the west. I think it has to. I don't really see San Francisco, or just even the greater sort of Western markets, even Boston or New York, being able to exist in a vacuum. I think you, at scale at least, of course, 500 units, 1,000 units, no issue. But in terms of going to mass manufacturability and scale in a distribution sense of the word, I think we really do have to get better at just translating and connecting those dots. And a lot of the things that I see people struggle with here, you go over to Shenzhen and you just realize there are firmware engineers by the tens of thousands. There are electrical engineers and PCB, they're everywhere. And over here, the price points of just hiring those people, but then also just the relative complexity of even managing and working with them and validating them, it seems challenging. And over there, they've been doing this forever. So I'm learning that it can't be an either or. It's very much got to be a marriage. And it just has to be. I don't see it happening anywhere.
And that's we believe that with Highway 1, and we kind of take our people over there.
Yeah, you have to. And so that's been the kind of big challenge whenever I've been in the States now and I'm doing the talks. I actually just say, who has the 10-year China visa? Yeah. And I go, crickets. They didn't know it existed. Well, if you don't have that, I don't know where your head's at. You should be over here, right? You're not at Maker Faire? What were you doing that week? And it's not that you have to be in China every day. That's not the case either. I think it's just, I want to make sure that people feel comfortable, and that's actually why our headquarters is in Hong Kong, is that you don't have to go straight to Shenzhen. You don't have to. Hong Kong feels like Manhattan, a little bit faster, but it feels like Manhattan. Yeah. But you can come to Asia and you can drop into Hong Kong quickly, and you can go and learn in China at your own pace. You can go utilize the power and the energy that's there, and you can get a direct flight right back to San Francisco, or to Boston or New York. So I think we're going to see you would know better. You've been in this much longer than I have, but I think there's going to be a big trend of a lot more of that mobile sort of two-city approach, and not just all sitting in San Francisco or all sitting in Boston.
I completely agree with that. Like Ringly has people over in China right now, and splitting their time between New York and China. And most of our teams end up doing that.
It's hard to say that you could be a physical products company, forget IoT, without a serious Asia presence. It just seems like it's not possible. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's been really exciting and coming back for the first time after about a year and a half being gone, just to see the energy around IoT in the States. There's so much passion about this. And this conference is actually a great example of just how many people are getting excited and getting involved. I think what you guys do, and hopefully what we're trying to do, is we really want to help provide the education and the access to understanding that it's not so scary, and you do need to approach it in a certain way to give yourself the best chances of success, because it's so unbelievably difficult. And we just sort of thought it doesn't make sense. Like, why should it be so hard? Like, let's let the consumer choose. Let's get it to market, and let's start learning from that information instead of the fact that they're dying along the way.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Not a problem.